I feel like color analysis is everywhere at the moment, and apparently it can be pretty life-changing. But being a little frugal, I didn't want to shell out a couple $100s to get professionally typed. So like any totally normal sane person, I set out to find my color season myself. And the question that was burning in my mind is how much do these color seasons, when applied to your makeup, really affect things? And if you're wondering why I'm going through the trouble of doing this, having fair skin, I've always struggled with makeup looking off on me and the inevitable "are you sick" comments when I decide not to wear makeup. So I wanted sweet revenge on anyone who ever told me I look like a ghost. Finding my palette was actually way easier than I thought, since my least favorite color to exist on me is this mustardy yellow, close second to army green. So the warm seasons, spring and autumn, which included those warm colors, I eliminated right off the bat and felt pretty confident with that decision. What was left was winter and summer, with most winter examples sort of looking like Anne Hathaway with high contrast. I knew I could rule that one out as well, being low contrast myself, which left the summer season, but it wasn't over yet. I still needed to figure out what kind of summer I am, but just to make sure, I did some color draping to sort of just prove my own analysis so far. Starting with some worst ones, which were this black and this sort of corally red color. I really noticed that the redness in my skin and under eyes, you can sort of see it soften once I switched to a cool blue. I noticed a huge difference between a warm neutral and a cool neutral as well. I feel like my skin just brightens. Next I played with pinks. Bright was probably the worst. Soft wasn't bad, which is what I'm wearing now. I still really love this color, but I feel like the light shade was still my favorite. Next I tried on this jacket, which I never wear without getting compliments on, which doesn't really happen to me a lot, so I figured this color must be in my season. Next I tried on this jacket. Even though it's a cooler brown, I still don't feel like it had the same effect that that purple jacket has on me. I also just got this vest, which is this really cool light blue, and thankfully it fits right into my alleged color season from my own analysis. And this is a good example of an outfit I frequent. I still wear a lot of dark colors because they're practical, easy to find, but I usually keep them on the lower half of my body and do more colors that I like to wear on the top half. I did tons of research as well, watched a lot of YouTube videos. I'm still not exactly sure where I fit in with the summers. There's 3 different types of summer seasons. There's a light summer, a true summer, and a muted or soft summer. I'm pretty sure I'm not muted or soft summer because they tend to have some darker hair. And then true summer was also like maybe just not the best, because when I was doing the draping, I have different versions of the same color and it seemed like just the lightest possible color always worked the best for me. Because what I learned is you should sort your features in like what you notice first, and I think my lightness is definitely first off and then my coolness. So that would put me as a light summer. So today we're gonna be focusing on my best and worst colors as a light summer for makeup. We're gonna see how much a difference it really makes on my face and if it's worth investigating your own color season. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm currently a blank canvas. I decided to wear white and put my hair back in case that really had any effect on it. I also just have my foundation on. I didn't want to do different undertones because I have olive skin. That's like a whole new video in itself. So I just picked one that matches my skin. And I also was like, should I do different color brows? And I decided to, but in a very slight way, so it wasn't like so obvious that it was totally not my hair color. So this is going to be our summer side here, and then this is going to be my worst color. So we're going to be best and worst. So I have a nice cool taupe brow on here, the one I use almost every day. And then I did the same pencil and I just added a little bit of red to it to add that warmth in it, and we'll see if that ends up making a big difference. So when I was picking these products, I also tried to choose similar finishes or even the same product, so we didn't get too distracted by sort of the finish of the product. The exception is this first round. I have a matte product and a shimmer product. So we're gonna keep that in mind, but let's start on the bad side of our face. I'm gonna be using the warmest bronzer I could find, which is this iconic London Kissed by the Sun powder in the shade Date Night, which you should be able to see is a really, really warm orangey bronzer. So I'm gonna take this on a fluffy brush and just apply it how I normally would apply bronzer. I don't wanna sabotage the looks by not just doing my normal technique. I'm going to try to make both sides look good and do it as I normally would with my other makeup. So already it's definitely standing out on me as like, you know, not a great shade. Now using my ideal color on this side, I picked out the NYX Sweet Cheeks matte. This is actually a blush. It's a super cool tone powder and I wanted something that wasn't just like, you know, more of a neutral bronzer. I wanted to try something that was more like a contour and have it be a true cool tone. I think this side is already looking more natural. For some reason, this looks really unblended, even though I keep trying to blend it out. Maybe I just applied a little bit too much. So let me just build up this side just for fairness, using the same amount of product. Let's actually do some of this on the side of the nose as well, and then I'll go back into the warm one as well. And I feel like there's a huge difference when I applied it to my nose, but here is our warm side so far in the worst color side, and here is the cool side, best color side. I do definitely notice a difference with that very orangey bronzer so far. So let's see. Cream blushes and powder blushes. So we're going to layer. Let's start with the warm side again. I just found the most orange pure blush that I had because this was like directly on the worst color list. This one's from Tower 28. It's called Golden Hour. And I'm just going to apply that with my finger. Oh my God. I don't like orange. I already know that, but we'll see. So far it's applying a little bit patchy. I'm guessing that's because I'm putting it over a powder and not necessarily because the color's bad. It's just the formula is not mixing, but I think I got it as smooth as possible. Now let's move to the cool side. I grabbed the Jones Road Miracle Balm. This is a really nice, pretty cool pink, perfectly in my color season. I have a lot of pink blushes, but I really wanted to make sure that I was picking one that was light, but also very cool toned. I feel like this one fit the bill perfectly. I feel like the difference already is very obvious. Still ignoring that this side is patchy. There's just like something off. Like I feel like it's making my under eyes look worse versus over here where things are looking a little more cohesive. And instead of like the makeup being obvious, it's like I feel like I still look like myself. And then I have two blushes that we're gonna set those creams with. Over here, I picked a very bright orange, and then I decided to pick the same formula in just a very light pink. So let's start over here on the cool side. Will hopefully help blend out any patchiness. I'm also going a bit heavy-handed with everything just so the colors appear on the face so we can really test if there's a big difference. Now taking this very bright poppy orange, this is kind of crazy because I feel like I'm applying the same amount of product on each side, but like every time I add a product onto this warm side, it just like looks more and more like makeup the more layers I add. For highlights, I chose the same product again. These are like a white base highlighter, but they each have a different undertone. Starting with the warm side, this is from Kaleidos. This is the Solar Sailor highlight, which looks white, but this one has a gold reflect to it. And then this one, which is Star Surfer, has a pink reflect to it. So I thought this would be a nice way to test in maybe a less dramatic fashion, which looks better. So let's start on the cool side with that light pink highlight. This is such a pretty highlight, by the way. Now going in on this side, next going over here with the yellow one. Okay, this one is definitely like way more visible on my skin, even though they both have that white base to them, so they are light enough for me. The gold is sort of just like, I feel like sinking my face in a bit. I thought the difference would be more subtle with these because they have more of a like white base to them, but this side I feel like looks more textured. Just looks like a little bit off, and then over here I feel like it just looks pretty and glowy and a lot more like my skin. Moving on to eyeshadow, I have the same palettes as well. So we have two different colors of the Charlotte Tilbury palettes. Over here I'm going to be using these cool purples, and then over here I have these like yellowish greenish hues, which are on the worst list. I'm going to try to do a relatively soft look with both of these so we can focus on the colors and not necessarily like the dramaticness of the eye. I actually need a bit of a transition shade for the cool side, so I'm gonna use the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette and this cool tone called Mesh, just a cool tone taupe. Then to also do a transition over here on the warm side, I took out this Melt Cosmetics palette, which is like a palette of all of my worst colors. I don't want to go like too weird with it. I'm just gonna take this warm brown as a transition. I want to give it hope of looking decent. Now back into this Charlotte Tilbury palette in the purple shade, I'm going to take this matte purple and I'm just going to focus that on the outer corner of my eye and start to blend that in. I'm actually going to dip a little bit into this metallic purple to help blend out that deeper shade. Now let's pop over to the green Charlotte Tilbury palette. There's not a matte shade in here, so I'm just going to take this dark green and I'm going to try to do basically the same shape on both eyes. So we'll just start this on the outer V and then start to blend it in with the warmer transition shade we put down. I'm really interested to see how the eyeshadow turns out because I feel like these greens aren't necessarily my worst eyeshadow shades. That's kind of why I chose them. I didn't want to do anything like bright orange. I just wanted to test like if it's really going to make a big difference between the purples or the greens. Back to the purple palette, I'm going to take this soft sparkly purple and pat this on the outer half of my eye. And then I'll do the same over here using this more sparkly shade, actually this one here. This is actually a really pretty color. Next, taking this final light purpley champagne, I'm gonna do this on the inner half of my eye, and then using this yellowish gold color from the Olivey palette, placing it in the same area. Ooh yeah, I feel like it was nice until I added that gold, which is funny because I used to love warm tone shades like this so much. Like they definitely are the opposite of my eyes, so they make them stand out. But in terms of it like not looking makeup-y, not there. It looks makeup-y. Now just blending a little bit of that matte purple on the lower lash line and some of that metallic green on the lower of this eye. So looking at these, I tried to use the same depth on both sides. This side might be a little bit lighter, but that's supposed to go within my color season anyway. I definitely see a big difference with the eyeshadow. This side looks a lot better, more natural. I feel like it actually goes in my eye color a lot better as well. Like this side, it was good at first, but once we put down that like gold yellow, I was like, ugh. I also pulled out these Colourpop Super Shock shades. This one's in more of a brighter orange, and this is a really pretty light sparkly purple. I think I'm gonna do a light layer of these. I love this shade by Colourpop. It's so pretty, by the way. This one's Angelic. And then taking this orange shade, I don't really know what to do with this. I guess I'll just put it on the center as well. This formula is actually really bad for some reason, and it basically flaked off, so we're gonna grab a different shade. So I found another warm bronzy shade. Let's see if this one works a bit better. Alrighty, those are the two different Super Shock shades. Had a fail with the first one. This one didn't apply that well either, but you can kind of see that hint of orange that we added. Wanted to make sure I included some orange, and I also wanted to do like a really cool sparkly purple because this purple pulls like a little bit warm, but I feel like it still works. Next up for eyeliner, I actually have the coordinating eyeliner that goes with the green Charlotte Tilbury palette. So I'm gonna use this metallic green side. I pop that on the waterline and then use a little bit more of this metallic just to sort of help blend everything in. And then on this cool side, I have this very light pink shimmery gel liner from Colourpop. And to make sure I match the depth of this lower lash line, I'm gonna go back in with the matte purple and smoke it out over the liner. I even have two different mascaras here to try. On this side, we're gonna use a brown because it's softer and lighter, so ideally should be better for me. And then over here, we're just gonna use a pure black, which is supposed to be too harsh and like sort of draining on me. So let's start with the black. And then on this side, I'm taking the brown Maybelline mascara. I definitely see a very big undeniable difference here in what I see is one, your eye goes to the makeup first, and then the other side, it's more of like my features shine through, and it's not necessarily that the makeup is the star of the show like it is over here. Like even if we cover up the cheek area, let me know which side you like better. Let's move into lips. I have two Colourpop lip pencils here. Choosing my best shade, which would be like a light cool pink. This one is the shade Oh Snap. And then over here we have the Colourpop Lippie pencil in the shade Absolute Zero, which is a very bright pure orange. I drew a little bit of an outline, so I had a guide for the next part, which is the lipstick. So to match the orange, I picked out this Bareminerals Energy lipstick, which is really close to that lip liner color, just a bright orange. And then over here would be something that's light and cool that matches my features. So this is the MAC Viva Glam 2, which is quite soft, very cool tone lipstick. It's actually one of my favorite nude shades. So even though this one is clearly brighter, even if you imagine this as being a brighter purple, I think you can still tell that this not ideal. I also wanted to test some glosses, so I picked out this lighter peachy shade to maybe lighten up the orange. It's from Marc Jacobs, which doesn't exist anymore. Should probably throw this out, but I feel like that helped a little because it lightened it up, but still not great. And then I have a very cool tone lip gloss here from Pixi, which is a blue sparkly gloss. So here is my makeup using my worst colors, and here's the makeup using my best colors. I think there's a very clear winner here, but I'd love to know your thoughts below. Like, at what point did you be like, yeah, this side's not great, or maybe you like this side better? I would love to know why. This is something I've just noticed naturally over the course of doing my own makeup. I started to gravitate towards these tones quite a while ago, and I always found they look really pretty and natural on me. So if you feel like your makeup looks really unnatural on you, you might be just like using the wrong tones. Like maybe you are warm and you're using these cool tones, or you're cool and light like me and you're using these warm tones. Even if they are in lighter hue, if they're still warm, they could probably still mess with things. So really interesting to just test this out. I think this video was actually really helpful to see how different makeup colors affect me. If you try this out, let me know your results below. Don't forget to give this video a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you haven't already for more fun ideas. And there'll be 2 videos on the screen here so we could keep hanging out. 1 or 2, I will see you in one of those. Bye.